Hello, my name is Dan Colgan, and I am the organist and music guy here at Gloria Lutheran Church in Olympia, Washington. Today is March 18th, and the hymn I would like to take a look at is Jesus Keep Me Near the Cross, number 335 in our ELW hymnals. This is the opening hymn used in worship this coming Sunday. This is one of many texts by the great hymn writer Fanny Crosby. Crosby is one of, if not the most well-known writer of gospel hymns in America. She's been called the mother of modern congregational singing in America as well, and the queen of gospel songwriters. She lived from 1820 to 1915. She grew up on the New York-Connecticut border and was blind by the time she was 6 weeks old. She came from an old family, able to trace their history back to the time of the Magna Carta in the early 13th century and to the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1635. She grew up in this Northeastern Puritan Reformed tradition. At the age of 38, she married another blind musician, Alexander Van Alstyne, who's sometimes known as just Van. She, after that, is sometimes known by her full married name, or Frances Jane Van Alstyne, particularly in older English publications of her hymns, where Fanny Crosby was much too informal, evidently. It took her a while to feel comfortable with many churches and different Protestant faiths of the time. She did eventually attend and ended up joining Cornell Methodist Episcopal Church in New York City. She also attended and taught at the New York School for the Blind. However, what's most remarkable about Crosby is that she wrote at least 8,500 hymns. That's 8,500 hymns that we know about. There could be more, as she also used more than 200 pen names through her career. We have two of her hymns included in our ELW, this one and Blessed Assurance. And as if 8,500 hymns weren't enough, she also wrote over 1,000 secular poems and had 2 autobiographies published. And if you're wondering, the last name Crosby, yes, she was related to the singer Bing Crosby. However, I want to go back. I want to quote one of those autobiographies for a moment. She writes, quote, "It seemed intended by the blessed providence of God that I should be blind all my life, and I thank him for the dispensation. If perfect earthly sight were offered me tomorrow, I would not accept it. I might not have sung hymns to the praise of God if I had been distracted by the beautiful and interesting things about me." Now, to give you a mental picture of Crosby, she was about, 4 foot 8 inches tall and weighed all of 85 pounds. But her small stature certainly didn't stop her from much. She lived a very plain life, often living in places described as dismal flats in some questionable parts of Brooklyn and some slums of the Lower East Side as well. However, it's also said that Crosby had most of the Bible memorized and that she stored and edited all of her poems in her head. She would dictate several poems at the same time, up to 7 a day. She made such a name for herself that even national presidents would contact her for hymns. She would also occasionally write a hymn text for a tune which she had just heard. Our hymn today is one of those. As the stories go, people would at times sit down at the piano and play a tune for her, and she would dictate a text on the spot back to them. That's the case with Jesus Keep Me Near the Cross. William H. Doane, spelled D-O-A-N-E, sometimes published as William Howard Doane or just W. Howard, would frequently provide her with tunes for her hymns. This unknown tune was given the name Near the Cross just as soon as Crosby gave it text. Doane was a celebrated musician in his own right, with over 2,200 pieces of music composed, many of them gospel hymn tunes, and over 40 songbooks published as well. He was a Baptist and a wealthy industrialist businessman. It's said that he built his home to include a large music room with a pipe organ, a number of pianos, and many books and musical manuscripts, including original manuscripts of Handel, Haydn, Beethoven, Mozart, and Mendelssohn. He also later became Crosby's business manager of sorts, as he felt she was many times just taken advantage of, she was almost never given any royalties for her writing, but would sometimes just take $1 or $2 for a text. I could dive into the substance of this hymn today a bit, perhaps, but I think the substance for me instead is really in this biography and this example of the extraordinary Fanny Crosby. I could also make "When life gives you lemons" statements about how she made the best of a bad situation with her blindness, but what really stands out to me is the fact that she was never afraid to share herself with the world. She found her talent and wasn't afraid to pass on that wonderful gift with many who probably really needed it. What a great comfort that she could provide to people through words and through song. The other thing that stands out to me today is just her life tells us that she kind of knew what was important to her and what really mattered, and that's where she put her energy. She could have spent time figuring out how to get a nice place to live or how to make money off her work, but instead she spent her time filling her mind with text after poem after hymn, and then memorizing the Bible too. It's my extreme joy to share a bit with you today about this fascinating, one-of-a-kind author. Thank you.